Hello, I'm Chris. I am a supply chain professional, a real estate investor. I hold a real estate license, and today I just want to take a minute or two to go over a couple of two books that actually are absolutely life-changing. So these are both two books that I wish I had have taken full advantage of way earlier in life, because I actually came across both of them pretty early, not too far after they came out. One of them was on my bookshelf for many years, and I just decided to open it up one day and read it. And the other one, I read it and really didn't start to put it into practice until years later. So looking back, of course, hindsight is 2020. There's a lot I would change, but either way, the fact that I've come across them and have started to adhere to the principles is absolutely life-changing. So the first book that I'm going to touch on is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And actually, this is a 20-year edition. This book came out in 1997. And this book really touches on some important principles and really helps you to begin to think in a different way than what's traditional. I took a couple notes on some of the principles. So the book changes your train of thought on the rich and the poor. What you think the rich are is actually an illusion. So, we have these ideas in our mind about, fast cars, multiple houses, a beach house, all kinds of things that could be associated with the rich. But the truth is, a lot of that is not quite what it adds up to be, because you don't know what type of stress comes with those items, and it may not always, and that's if you do it the right way. The system, according to the book, the system that we're taught is all wrong. It's, we go to school, if you think about it, we go to school all these years, and we learn nothing about finances. You can go all the way through college and not even learn how to balance a checkbook. So, a lot of things like that are what are part of Robert Kiyosaki's points that are made in this book, is that it's really all set up against you to begin with. So if you really take time to think about those things, it really is a head scratcher why we wouldn't learn. If you think about it, financial principles are, we all need those things. So the fact that we're not being taught that, it just doesn't make any sense, whatsoever. So another thing is, which really hits home, is cash flow. Cash flowing assets. That is really the focal point of the whole book. So a good example is rental properties. So if you want to go get the Ferrari, you're better off to get a rental property or multiple rental properties that then cash flow, and let the cash flow pay for the Ferrari or Lamborghini or really whatever you want. Because at the end of the day, you still have this cash flowing asset, and there's just so many benefits tax wise to it, and it's just numerous benefits. You can't really count enough the benefits of having cash flow and really passive income as well. So that's a big time theme is, you can go to work and work your W-2 job, but when you're not working, you're not getting paid. With cash flowing assets, especially with rental properties, you could have a property manager and you can be out of town for a month, a year, and you have to check in on some things, but at the end of the day, you're making money when you sleep. And some people call it mailbox money, which once you receive that first check for rent, it's an eye opener. It's an absolute game changer. You'll never really look at it the same way. So that's the first book. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch up on the second book, and then we'll wrap back around, and I'll kind of give you an idea of, what I think about both of them. Now, this book is definitely a contradiction to a degree to the first book, but we'll explain that. Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover. So now, this book came out in 2003, but Dave Ramsey had another book prior to that. I think it was Financial Peace, which I want to say was 1992. So Dave Ramsey's story actually is he actually came up in real estate, which, by the way, the main way that Robert Kiyosaki, which now has all kinds of businesses, the way that he got his wealth was through real estate. So that's one thing. They're both very similar. Dave Ramsey loves real estate. He got a real estate license at a young age. He made his first millions off real estate, and then some of the laws changed, and he lost it all. So the way he built it back up was through helping people get out of debt. So he completely changed his life. So the thing about Dave Ramsey is it's all about no debt, eliminating all debt. Matter of fact, Dave Ramsey says you don't even need a FICO score at all. And FICO is the score that most creditors use. While there's 3 different credit bureaus, the FICO score is the one that, if you were to go get a loan for a car or a house, that's the one that would be used. Now, there are some obviously things like Credit Karma, freecreditreport.com. I think that's one I used years ago. And those will give you a score, but what that is an algorithm. And it's not going to be quite where the FICO score would be, but those are good because they give you an idea. But at the end of the day, the FICO is the one that creditors are going to use. So with Dave Ramsey, he's got what he calls the baby steps and the debt snowball. So you start out with the smallest debt. You pay that down, and then you take all that money and throw it at the next highest debt. And then you do the same thing and throw all that at the next highest debt. Now, he does want you to get a $1,000 emergency fund to start off with. And it really will take some of the stress out of it. You have tires go flat or something like that. Boom, you got the money, and then you use it for the emergency, and you build back up. He obviously makes the point that wanting to go get dinner at Olive Garden is not an emergency. So the steps are very good. And he actually teaches those classes all around the country. Different churches and different facilities, teach that class. Financial Peace University, FPU, all over the place. Dave Ramsey does buy real estate still to this day. He buys it in 100% cash. And he makes very good points. When you pay in cash, it's said that you'll get a better deal. And there's just a lot of really good things to the book. Now, the thing about both of these guys is, Dave Ramsey, he caters to a certain audience. And that's why I would recommend, actually, that you would start off with so that's why I would recommend that you start off, actually, with Dave Ramsey's book, because if you learn at a young age how to manage your money and just kind of change your mindset, you're going to really be more equipped going down the road. And as well, if you haven't built up these habits of expensive cars and living a life that you can't afford and things like that, you're going to do better because you don't have to try to go back. I mean, there's countless stories of people that are $300,000, $400,000 dollars in debt. Some of it, that's just their student loan amount, and they overcome it. But imagine if you didn't have that debt to begin with, how much better of a start that you're going to get. So if you start out earlier, it's going to really help propel you quicker. And then if you go to Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, just the framework of knowing what an asset is and what a liability is, and that there is, as Robert Kiyosaki says, there's good debt and bad debt. Dave Ramsey believes all debt is bad debt. So obviously two big differences, but you're able to take that information after you've worked the Total Money Makeover. It's just going to compound. Now, they're both things you can use regardless. I mean, these books are mutually exclusive. I mean, you can use either book, and it's going to make a world of difference. One thing about these books is you read them, but you have to act on them. And once you get going, it kind of builds up its own steam. What I like is I like to take the approach of looking at different things from both books. While I do agree with Dave Ramsey as far as not having any debt, so I believe business debt is okay. I think there's certain safeguards you have to use to, minimize the risk. But I don't think everybody has the luxury of, you think about a rental property. Well, it could take you 10 years to save up for a rental property. And by using leverage and being able to use the bank's money, it's just that much better of an investment. So there's a lot that goes into it, and there are really a lot of people on YouTube that just do a phenomenal job of really, with the real estate sector, describing how you can get cash flow. I mean, the saying is cash flow is king, and it is. You can ask a lot of people, would you rather have $10,000 or $100 a month for the next 50 years? A lot of people say, yeah, give me $10,000. I would never take the $10,000. I would take the $100 all day, because it's coming regardless, and it's going to end up being way more. So it's just about a different way of thinking. So it's so funny that both of these books are completely different and they contradict each other. But if you tailor your own approach and use both of these, it's just unbelievable what can happen.